Chris represents Kane County, and he replaces Don DeWitt, who is now a state senator. The RTA will be a good training ground, or will have been a great training ground for Don DeWitt, but it's very nice and prestigious to have one of our former members now be a distinguished member of the state Senate. Chris and I have spoken, and he comes with a distinguished career in business. His background is perfectly tailor-made to our board, with expertise in engineering, in strategy, in finance. We're talking about fuel, and with his experience with British Petroleum, we'll even get you into the different variant grades, and you can educate us on respect to the various types of diesel fuel that are out there. But Chris, welcome. Your background is exceptional, and we certainly welcome you to the board. Is there anything you want us to know about you before we dive in?
I don't have a lot to say other than I'm really excited to be here. This is my first opportunity to get into a public service in a meaningful way. I'm thrilled about the chance to work with transportation. You've kind of described earlier how important that is to the economy, to our region, and then the sustainability aspects. I'm really excited about getting to that. So thrilled to be here. I know I'm filling big shoes, as you mentioned. Senator DeWitt has moved on, but great to be here, and I really look forward to contributing.
Thank you. And if anybody looks at his background, it is a perfect fit for service on this board. And I told Chris, as I say every day, one of the pleasures of being on this board is the diversity in terms of the expertise and backgrounds we all come from. And this is a great board. And you're a great addition, along with Dr. Sager, who is also a new perfect addition as well. So thank you. Madam Secretary, can you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Director Anderson. Director Colson. Here. Director Durante.
Here.
Director Frega.
Here.
Director Fuentes.
Here.
Director Groven.
Here.
Director Higgins.
Here.
Director Cotel.
Here.
Director Lewis.
Here.
Director McGallis.
Here.
Director Melvin.
Here.
Director Pang. Director Ross.
Here.
Dr. Sager.
Here.
Director Troiani. Chairman Dillard.
Here.
We have a quorum of 13 present with 3 absent.
Super. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Our first item is item 3A, and it's the approval of the minutes from the meetings held on October 18th, 2018. Are there any questions or comments, additions, deletions? If not, can I have a motion in a second that we approve those meetings? Director Frega moves that we approve, seconded by Director Patrick Durante. And Madam Secretary, so we have a baseline roll call. Can you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Director Colson?
Yes.
Director Durante?
Aye.
Director Frega? Aye. Director Fuentes?
Aye.
Director Groven?
Aye.
Director Higgins?
Aye.
Director Cotel?
Aye.
Director Lewis?
Aye.
Director McGallis?
Aye.
Director Melvin?
Aye.
Director Ross?
Aye.
Dr. Sager?
Yes.
Chairman Dillard?
Yes.
13 ayes and 3 absent.
Thank you. Before we move on to our formal agenda in recognition of TJ Ross, we're required to have a report on the outcome of the docket review that took place at our last meeting. And Nadine, our general counsel, can you tell us what that involves and direct us on what we should do?
You don't really have to do anything. Pursuant to Section 2.06 of the Open Meetings Act, the RTA Board met in executive session on October 18th to review the minutes of prior closed session meetings. The Open Meetings Act requires public bodies to conduct this review periodically to determine whether a need for confidentiality continues to exist with respect to all or part of those minutes. Based on its most recent review, the Board reached consensus that one segment of the minutes reviewed could be released, and the remainder should remain close to inspection by the public because the need for confidentiality remains as to those minutes. During each subsequent review, the Board will continue to review all closed session minutes to determine whether any changes in circumstance indicate that they may be made available for review.
Great. Thank you, wise counselor. We appreciate that. Now, I'd like to ask the board's permission to move up item 9 on the agenda. This item is a resolution honoring T.J. Ross, who is retiring at the end of the month from his distinguished service at PACE. And rather than have T.J. wait, I'd like to make this action the next order of business, if that is okay with everyone. Are there any objections to that? If there are no objections, Madam Secretary, will you read the resolution into our record, please?
Certainly, and if I would ask TJ to come up front so he can hear this loud and clear. You can lean on the podium if you want or sit down. Okay, whereas Thomas T.J. Ross has served as Executive Director of Pace Suburban Bus and ADA Paratransit since 1998. Whereas Mr. Ross is respected and admired by his transit colleagues at the RTA, Chicago Transit Authority, Metra, and PACE as a dedicated and concerned public servant. Whereas Mr. Ross has served with distinction during his transit career, which includes 19 years in the private sector and 25 years in the public sector, during which he has held the positions of planner, engineer, maintenance director, general manager, and executive director. Whereas Mr. Ross's key accomplishments have included PACE's largest service expansion with the I-90 Market Expansion Project, the conversion of PACE's South Division to compressed natural gas fueling, the transfer of Chicago ADA paratransit services from the CTA to PACE, and the launch of PACE's successful Bus on Shoulder program. And whereas Mr. Ross has been a steadfast guardian of the taxpayer dollars of the region and served as a diligent advocate of efficiency and cost effectiveness. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Regional Transportation Authority hereby honors T.J. Ross for his years of conscientious and dedicated service to the people of the northeastern Illinois and for his commitment to enhancing the stability and integrity of the region's public transportation system for all the residents of the region.
Thank you. Just before we take comments, TJ, I can't thank you enough. You are Leanne has just left for the American Public Transportation Association meeting in Washington, D.C., but when you travel outside of our circle to other transit agencies and national associations, TJ is a giant among them, incredibly respected among his peers nationwide, and you are, as I think it goes without saying, a great gentleman. It's one of the things I most respect about you is your demeanor. Is always you're a great advocate and a forceful advocate for PACE, but your quiet way and demeanor goes a long way. And your peers at the CTA and Metra, I know how much they respect you, TJ, and certainly we at the RTA and our staff do as well. Leanne and I had the privilege of going to the retirement reception for TJ, and I just think this speaks volumes of the dedication of this man to PACE. On the night of his going away or retirement reception, TJ has to cut out and go to a village board meeting in Wheeling. That's the kind of dedication right up until the finish line that TJ has, and his love for PACE and the employees of PACE are something that I think we all ought to take notice of. And TJ, you are impossible ever to replace. You just have giant shoes. You're a giant in the industry, and we will miss you terribly. But please, if you ever see us doing anything that bothers you, disturbs you, or think we need a kick in the pants, please call us if you would. So thank you so much. Any other comments, Patrick? Thank you. Director Durante moves that we accept the resolution. And it'll be seconded by Director McGallis. Yes, Director Melvin.
Yeah, TJ. Look, you always have ideas You always have creative solutions. You're a real problem solver. You're a fine public servant, and you're a great operator. And I've gotten to know you, and I've enjoyed it. And when I've called you for questions, you've always been supportive and helpful and walking me through stuff. So thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Director McGallis.
Yes, TJ, I just want to say what a great job you've done as the PACE director, and having the opportunity to work with you over 20 years on a lot of budgets. And I know we had some difficult times during the year, but you always, during the many years I should say, you always did the right thing. You always fought for PACE, your staff, and you didn't just do it on a it's your way or the highway. You presented facts and support for your positions, and that was really appreciated. And so I've learned a lot working with you over the years, and you'll be greatly missed. And thank you for all you've done.
Director Draney, thank you.
Audrey forgot one more whereas, TJ, and whereas there will be no additional add-on to your pension. So.
What pension? Oh. Anyone else? TJ, again, you are a class act, and we will miss you terribly. Mike's yours.
Hit the button, please.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm certainly honored by this. Probably don't know a whole lot about me personally. I've got a picture of my mother teaching in a one-room schoolhouse in western Iowa during the Depression, and she's 20 years old, and that's when you could teach then. My dad was the son of a railroad worker, and he was working for the Iowa Department of Welfare or Public Assistance during the Depression. Both my parents were kind of older, and I grew up in a household that believed in public service. My older brother just completed 45 years of service as a city manager throughout the United States, and my younger brother is working in Texas as a social worker, works for the state of Texas, and has been doing that his whole life. So our family is about public service. We think it's important, and we think that many times people that work in public service don't get all the recognition. We don't need the recognition. Doing the right thing is our recognition. And I know that you have a great responsibility going forward. I'm an engineer. I've been very concerned about the climate change that's been going on, and I've been seeing it my whole career. And the two recent reports, I think, are setting the stage for public transit to do an important thing to save the world and to save our climate and save the future of our grandkids and our grandkids' grandkids. So you have a lot of responsibilities, and I want to thank you for recognizing me, and anything that I can do in the future to answer any questions or help you, I'm more than willing to do that. That's no problem. And I think I'll continue feeling this dedication for the rest of my life. So thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today, and thank you for the recognition.
Thank you very, very, very much. TJ, I'm going to give you one more thing to put on your wall. Hang on one second, and I'll come out there and give it to you. Item 4 is the public comment segment of the meeting.
We need to take a vote.
Oh, we do.
We have a motion and a second.
I just figured it was going to be unanimous.
Well, for the record.
Is leave granted for the attendance roll call?
13
Obviously,
ayes
leave's
and 3
granted,
absent.
So, thank you. Item 4 is our public comment section today. We do not have a speaker scheduled. So item 5 is the executive director's report. Leanne is on her way out to O'Hare. So Jill will deliver the executive director's report this morning. Jill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Start off with our state delinquency figures. Through the end of October, the state owes the RTA $435.7 million of ASA, AFA, and PTF. The state is 16 months behind on both ASA and AFA, and the equivalent of 8.6 months behind on PTF. The year-to-date cost of short-term debt is $5.8 million. Moving on to the state legislative update, public transportation issues came out on top during the midterm elections across the nation. Ballot measures that increased or secured investment in public transit were approved in California, Connecticut, New Mexico, Maine, Virginia, and Florida. 17 of the 20 transportation-related ballot measures were approved. For example, in Hillsborough County, Florida, which includes Tampa, voters approved a 1% increase in the sales tax that expires in 30 years. In 4 New Mexico counties chose to renew a tax supporting their regional public transit system. We've provided you with more highlights in the government relations memo at your place. In Springfield, the Illinois General Assembly is currently in its second week of fall veto session. This is the time of year when the General Assembly either accepts or overrides vetoes of legislation by the governor. There's continued discussions occurring regarding the possibility of an infrastructure capital program coming together sometime in 2019. The RTA and our transportation partners around the state remain active in these discussions. And for a brief midterm election roundup, as well as a summary on some of the other pending issues, please see the legislative update also at your seat. We continue to find ways to share the message of our regional transit strategic plan, Invest in Transit, and our region's funding needs moving forward. We are in the midst of making presentations to your appointing authorities about the regional 2019 proposed operating budget and capital program. Last week, Chairman Dillard presented to the Executive Board of the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. He showed the group our strategic plan video, made a few remarks, and answered questions. And the group was very engaged, and the chairman led a robust discussion of what we need to do to continue to fund transit in our region. As I think you all know, on December 4th, I will moderate, or I won't, Leanne will. Leanne will moderate a panel discussion with CTA, Metro, and PACE's CEOs. We'll share the dais at the City Club breakfast titled Talking Transit, Exploring the Economic Backbone of our region. Then a few days later, on December 11th, all 4 of them are scheduled to reconvene as a panel for a segment on WTTW's Chicago Tonight. I hope you will all tune into that. All these opportunities are vital to a greater understanding of our needs by both leaders and riders. And that concludes the report. Happy to try to respond to any questions.
Are there any questions?
Good timing.
Any questions of Jill? If not, thank you very much for filling in for Leanne there. Item 6 is an update on the activities of the RTA's Transit Access Citizens Advisory Board. We're joined by Mr. Greg Pullman as usual today. And Greg, thank you for patiently sticking around on this extra long morning.
Oh, no, I enjoyed listening to the presentations. Before I begin my short remarks, I would also like to commend T.J. Ross. He's been a great advocate for the ADA paratransit system, and he's done a lot to make sure that people with disabilities and seniors have quality service and a good system in order to maintain their independence. I just wanted to make that remark before I started.
Thank you. It's well taken.
Good morning, Director, Chairman Dillard, directors, RTA staff, and the public. I want to give a brief overview of the RTA TACAB October 15th meeting. We met, this was our last meeting of the year. And we had several updates. We had updates about the mobility services project. We also heard an overview of government affairs so that we had a good idea of what's happening legislatively with transit and transit funding. From that point, we moved on and got an update on the Eligibility Review Board. As you well know, they were looking for new members. They have recruited 3 new members, and they have been trained, These members are on the review board for 2 years with a possible additional 1 year. So we were very glad to see that they have a full complement of reviewers for individuals who have appeals of their paratransit service. The other item that I want to bring up is, since it was the end of the year, we had a discussion on what topics the advisory board would like to take a look at in the coming year. We came up with several ideas, and three of them is to look at best practices and see how the RTA compares to other peers throughout the country. We also wanted to take and explore and take a look at assistive technology and how it can be better used and what is available for transit riders with disabilities. And the last item that we put as a priority in our list is that the committee overwhelmingly wishes to provide any assistance the board or RTA needs in order to get capital improvement legislation through the state or nationally. Finally, we also had an update. We had an informational session from Mark Orstring, who told us about that there are community planning projects. There is a bid out for the coming year. He explained to us what the goals and objectives are of the community planning projects. We had asked him if any projects, once they're reviewed and accepted, to keep us posted, especially if they dealt with accessibility issues. Our final agenda item was to set our meeting dates for the upcoming year. You have a copy of that. You have the dates in your packet. The only change that we made, we moved from afternoon meetings to morning meetings. We will now be meeting from 10 o'clock until noon instead of 1:30 to 4. That concludes my remarks. Any questions?
Great, thank you. Greg, any questions? If not, thank you very, very much, as always.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item 7, and that's the approval of a consent item as it appears on the board agenda. There's just one item, and that's it's 7A. It's the resolution certifying the financial results for the third quarter of 2018, which we just heard about a few minutes ago in committee. Are there any questions or comments? If not, Director J.D. Ross moves, and Director, can I have a second? Director Ryan Higgins seconds that we approve and certify the financial results for the third quarter of 2018. Is there leave for the attendance?
We will need a roll call. We lost a member.
Okay. You want to take another roll call?
Sure.
Thank you.
Director Colson. Director Fraga. Director Fuentes.
Aye.
Director Groven. Director Higgins. Director Cotel. Director Lewis. Director McGallis. Director Melvin.
Aye.
Director Ross. Dr. Sager. Chairman Dillard.
Aye.
We have 12 ayes and 4 absent.
Super, and that will be so approved. Item 8 is the approval of contract and expenditure items as they appear on the board agenda. These include, and everything's in your packet, 8A, an ordinance authorizing a contract for IT supplies and replacement parts. 8B is the ordinance authorizing a contract for the RTA fare program card production and the call support services. 8C is an ordinance authorizing a contract amendment for architectural services. And 8B are the travel expenditure reimbursements as required. Are there any questions on that? If not, Dr. Sager moves. We approve these, seconded by Director Cotel. Thank you, Tom. Is there leave for the new attendance roll call on
I'm
this
hoping
one?
we don't need another one unless
Yep,
Director Lewis is still in the building.
he's here. He's out in the hall. I see him. He's right outside the door.
Okay. Phew.
Seeing no objection, leave is granted, and that will be so reported 12 to nothing as well.
12 ayes and 4 absent.
And 4 absent. Yep, thank you. Thanks, Audrey. Item 10 is new business. I don't see any new business items. Anybody have any new business? If not, our next scheduled meeting is for Thursday, December 13th, following committee meetings, which will begin at 8:30. So I appreciate everybody for this extraordinary Finance Committee meeting, which we had today. We're running a little longer than normal, but if there's nothing else to come before us, can I have a motion and a second to adjourn? Director Fuentes moves that we adjourn, seconded by Director Groven. And we will see you all on December 13th. The motion is approved. All those say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion's approved, and now we will adjourn. Thank you, everybody. We stand adjourned.